I totally agree with you. I tell women all the time, if you're sick of people saying a certain thing, stop acting that way. And not only do we have to stop acting that way, if you are a woman or a mom and you get sick of kids, being seen a certain way, do something about it. Say something. So I'm in the place now where I'm going to speak against the women that I don't like seeing their behavior. Because listen, if we shame them a little more, bring back
Yes.
shaming, maybe we
Yes.
wouldn't have what we have now. But I don't think the issue is, oh, don't let they used to say back in the day, keep whatever's in the house in the house. I don't
Right.
think that's the issue. If you have a problem with what's being said, change what's being put out there. And it's really that simple. And I think if we come together and we shame more of these people, like I'm gonna tell a mom that's letting her child run amok that that's not the way to do it. And we know that a lot of these people, yes, are raised in fatherless homes or raised by moms who think they know everything. They think they're the mother and the father. And I let them
Oof.
know, if you're the mother and the father, then you are doing terrible in both roles.
Ah! Hallelujah. We got so much to talk about. So, and by the way, to the audience, per usual, if you have questions or comments, please do share them. And this is a unique opportunity in as much as it's hard to find an intelligent woman on YouTube nowadays. And I don't care what color she coming in. And then secondly, you find a black woman with natural hair who is willing to say things that are reasonable and is not trying to go viral, but is trying to go in the way of actually teaching and guiding. So I'm very thankful. Now, speaking of such, and this is a core thing for me because I love black women, but I hate phoniness, and black women excel in phoniness. Women in general are pretty damn phony. The fake nails, fake eyelashes, fake hair, fake breast, fake chest, fake all this. What was your journey like? Now, and I'm presuming that you were raised permed out. I don't know if this is the case, but based on my analysis of black folks, you were raised permed out. What was your journey to becoming natural?
Well, since I'm older, not only was I raised permed out, I was raised jerry curled out. I had a
Oh,
jerry curl
damn. That era.
up until I think it was the 8th grade. So what it was like to my natural journey, I think I just got tired of lying. I can't really remember anything other than feeling like I was suffocating. I remember having a quick weave, and that's when they gel all of your hair down and then they glue the tracks on top of that, and so you can have just a totally different hairstyle. I remember feeling like I'm suffocating. And I remember feeling like I'm tired of lying. I want to be who I am. And I went to my hairstylist, and as she took it out, I said, cut it all off. And she said, are you sure? And I said, yes, cut it all off. And before she could ask me again, she took the scissors and she cut it all off. And I remember looking in the mirror thinking, ooh, I made a
Right.
mistake.
Yeah, yeah. That
It
initial
took
shock.
some getting used to, but I felt freer and I felt more honest, and I felt like I was ready to actually live life authentically.
Hmm. Now, one lie I hear that I'm pretty convinced of is you hear a lot of black females say things like, black men don't like our natural hair. And for me, it's the only way. I've heard women lie and say, oh, he don't like black women. I love black women. It's just hard to find any of them because you guys want to look like bad versions of white women with your Beyonce blonde wig or your permed out. It's like, I'm not going to deal with the raggedy version. You hear me? If I want to get some straight hair, I get it from a chick. It grow out her scalp like that. And so I've never met a black man who told me like, oh, damn, bro, look at Shorty wig. Her wig is fine. And I've never heard that in life. Do you think that, what is your perspective as a black woman? Because I really don't know how, it comes to you, being a black woman who is both unnatural and natural from a hair perspective. What do you think black men actually like or prefer?
I think black men like natural hair and also confidence. I think women are lying when they say, oh,
About
black
everything.
men don't like natural hair. No one hates natural hair more than black women. I don't even get up and think, I wonder if he's going to accept my natural hair, or I wonder if he's going to, I don't ever think that, because I am presenting myself real as who I am. And so I expect anybody that I'm around, be it a black man, white woman, to accept me for who I am. When you hear a lot of women claiming that, oh, black men don't like it, it's really just them lying. They don't like it. When you hear black women start insulting each other, if they come and try to insult me, the first thing they're going to say is Miss Seeley, or some, your nappy head or something.
Right.
Black women are a lot more harsh about black hair than any man or any other race could ever be. And so really, they aren't comfortable with who they really are, because if they did, they wouldn't feel the need to get up and put on somebody else's hair. They wouldn't feel the need to have to put on 2 pounds of makeup. They think they're ugly, but they constantly say, we are black excellence or black girl magic. Well, the
Queen.
magic needs to be abracadabra. Let me see who you really are. Because all of this, I love the skin I'm in. You don't, because you're constantly changing it.
Right. I'm going to get some goddamn sound effects next time you come on. Well, press a sound effect after you drop it like that.
Okay, we have George K came in on Cash App with tuition. It looks like he was in on the last stream too.
Yeah,
So
shout out to George K, really supporting.
We have Robert sent a Cash App. He said, this is for you, I believe, Shamika. He said, do you think black women are more promiscuous than other races?
I definitely think we celebrate it more. I don't know if we're more promiscuous, but we are the race of women that think it's cute, that think it's okay, that, will tell each other, hey, just F them,
Right.
go and get yours, don't let him make you feel bad about your sexuality. We definitely put it out there a lot more than any other race I know. And we actually promote degeneracy more than any other race of women I know.
You're right about that. And when you listen to the black female rapper, this is the most vulgar, disgusting person on earth when you listen to what comes out of their mouth. And, curiously, from my upbringing, being raised by Southerners, you kind of realize how racist your upbringing was. I remember I was first having a frank conversation with a white woman, and I was basically saying, I was like, white girls are promiscuous. White girls are down for anything. They down for whatever. And then she says, no, like, I'm pretty sure it's the black girls that are promiscuous because they're the ones that are the single moms. Like, they don't get married. So they'll just sleep with anyone for any reason. Like, they don't care. And I never really heard it from the other side pushing it back on us. And you're right. I mean, whether they are or aren't more promiscuous, who knows? But what we do know is that there's a low rate of successful marriages. There's a high rate of illegitimacy in the black family. And then there's that marketing message that we hear constantly from the black female rapper. Now, you mentioned stigma. Stigma is something I agree with. And I'm not even going to lie. I think we're in a dire situation. Is there another level worse than stigma that we can take it to where we can stop some of these behaviors if we were organized?
This is something I've been asking myself, because I just saw a video earlier today where someone was saying, it was a black woman actually, saying that they believe some of these rappers are plants, and saying,
yes,
I think, they've been, put here to kind of, I guess, be the last straw, or the straw that breaks the camel back on how black women are presented. And I do think that's a part of it. I also think that we have to acknowledge there's an appetite for it. And so many times we like to point the finger without taking accountability. And so I think if we start taking accountability, like, there's an issue that black women feel like, okay, I can get with anybody and just have a baby, not worry about whether I'm choosing to be with a man that's going to stick around and be a father, or even if I need his last name. I think we have to acknowledge that we have loose morals, loose values, and that we are not the women that our grandmothers or great grandparents, were. So I think that we have to start taking some accountability and stop pretending like things that are happening are not happening.
The lies. I agree with you there. And I know we're not terribly familiar with one another. And for those who are curious, I had seen a video of Shamika Michelle on Instagram, and I was very much so impressed by your frankness. And I think it's important that women are able to speak to other women, because the moment I say it, then I'm a misogynist and I don't understand what it's like to be a woman, which are all lies. And I'm going to say what I'm going to say anyways. But to have women who are a good example, because the young females will not identify through Marquettdavon Burton. They'll look at you and they'll identify through you. They'll see your beautiful hair and they'll see that as the good example. And that's what made me want to reach out and have the conversation with you. Now, let me turn it up one level. A lot of Black folks they have all these crazy mystical ideas. No, we the Hebrews, we the real Hebrews, and all these strange religions like we Hotep, Egypt, we need to study, all this crazy stuff. And I think the best example that we have in America are the Jews, in as much as the Jewish American, if you could even have such a term, but the Jewish American, they do have their own policing force. They have their own hospitals. And within that culture, if you are to misbehave, you will be ostracized, punished, and all that good stuff. And I think that the stigma is actually not enough, just out of our words condemning it. Because when you're speaking to a person who essentially is a demon and you're telling them that their ways are wrong, they know what they do is wrong. So there actually has to be a greater level that has to be exercised upon them. What are your thoughts there? And then we're going to move on to some other stuff.
I think we have to also ostracize these people. A lot of times we won't do that. We'll know somebody's wrong, whether they are in just sin and being evil. And, we'll protect murderers. In a lot of these communities, you'll see people saying, free my N-word, so-and-so.
Free Lil Boosie.
Yeah, after you know exactly what Lil Boosie has done. And so I think that we have to stop that type of foolishness. If we really want to see some change in our communities, we will have to go further than just saying something. We actually have to let our actions line up with our words. If you don't want this type of person running rampant in your community, ostracize them. They need to feel like they have nowhere to go. But if they know they can go out here and commit all manner of evil or all types of foolishness and still come in and get an invitation to the cookout, why not? But we have to start letting our actions match our words. You can't do anything in the Jewish community. They will actually shun you. And so we have to do a better job of shunning the people that are making us look bad.
And that's the thing that really resonates with me when you say making us look bad. Making us look bad, because in reality, my life and my life experience and my background does not map very well onto a Black man of the same age. We don't have the same income. We don't have the same education. We don't have the same intellectual capability. We're in radically different positions. Yet you have some random white guy from Kentucky look at me and just associate me with what he understands Black people to be based on his exposure on television, the news, social media. And so in as much as that's always going to be the case, I am anchored down to the state of the average Black person, whether I want to be or not. And I feel like Marcus Garvey is one of the first persons who articulated that well. And for that reason, that is why we have to be forceful in forcing the healing in the community. Shout out to Miss Ivy. She writes, peace to the saints. Thank you, Shamika, for being here indeed. And I can echo that. Thank you, Marquette, as well. How do I speak up and let go of fear when I see a female being bad? I want to start a podcast for women and I find myself scared. I'm going to let you hit that one.
Okay, I think you just got to do it. and you have to do it scared, because they aren't scared. Listen, they have no problem pushing this ratchetness out on everyone. They have no problem shaking and twerking on kids, grinding on babies in videos. They the evilness, the evilness has no problem doing exactly what it's been sent here to do, which is to steal, kill, and destroy. So we have to be just as loud, just as fearless, and actually go out here and get it done. And if you start out scared, that's okay. You'll find that there is a tribe of people that will support you, because we aren't alone. As much as it seemed like, okay, maybe there's only a small amount of people that actually want to see us progress and do better as a people, I really think that the voice is just so loud of the other side. There, you know, so we just have to do it and find your tribe. We exist. People are there, and just get out here and do it. They don't care. You shouldn't either.
On Cash App, we have Justin said, "Peace to the saints. Thank you for this beautiful conversation."
Absolutely.
On PayPal, we have Otis. Otis said, "Does Shamika have a following of young Black women that share her views?" I think Otis is trying to find someone.
That's a question right there, huh? Talk to us about that, Shamika.
I definitely have a few. I do know that I have some. I have women.
Shamika, they ain't messing with you. They try to set you up, catch you at Walmart. What's going on?
Well, I mean, honestly, there are women that I do know have the same mindset as me, that are young. I was just texting one who just transferred to FAMU. This was, I think, her first day of class today. So there are those that actually gravitate towards me. And then there are those that think, you know, I'm being ridiculous, or I don't understand, or I'm so old. Of course, now I can pull my life together. They don't really realize, if they don't take the time to get to know me, no, everything that I'm telling you, I believe. I got into a relationship at 22 years old. I was married at 26. I had my children. Like, what I'm telling you is what I believe works, even in the mistakes in my life. I heard there's a saying that says a fool learns from their own mistakes. A wise man learns from the fool's mistake. I'm trying to hopefully reach out to some wise people that can learn from my mistakes, because I made some. And so I want people to know I've done a lot in my life. I tried to kill somebody. I was a stripper
Shamika,
in
come on
college.
now. Come on now. If you're still doing hits, though, I got a couple people I need you to take out.
So, like, I get it. I understand. And I walked away from that lifestyle early on. So the idea that you have to be old and decrepit and worn out before you realize that this isn't the way to go is just a lie. You can do it in your 20s, just as I did. And I saw that Glorilla video saying, be ratchet in your 20s. No, you don't. That's foolishness. Stop listening to the advice of these bitter single women. It's going to not turn out well for you. And so there are people that realize I'm not just this old woman saying some stuff that I just found out, you know, as an old woman. I'm actually telling you how to have a good life, you know, how to raise children that are not out here twerking on Instagram, that can actually graduate from high school, as my daughter just did in May, with a 4.4 GPA. And now she's a registered junior in college because she came out of high school with 72 credits. When I say that I believe in women actually focusing on their family, I have a reason for saying that. It's because I have the fruit to prove that this is the way to go. And so there are people that are wise enough to listen, and then there are people that are going to come around when they're in their 40s and
that's late.
And trying to figure out, how can I fix it? Hopefully, though, I can reach these young girls that are not old and bitter and mad and angry, because a lot of women my age are. And to just be honest, so many of them can't tell young women how to do better and be better because number one, they're lying about the reality of it. You really don't like being single. You really don't
Right.
like everything having to fall on you. You really don't
Mhm.
like having to make sure things shake. You wish you had a man, but you're
Woo! You
so
wish
angry
you had a
and so
man.
bitter that you can't tell these young girls how to do the right thing. And you still think you're young. You're still in
Ooh.
competition with these
Mm.
girls, opposed to pulling your skirt down and
Kanye West
actually
moms.
being the role model and the leader that you need to be.
Praise the Lord.
We have Austin on Cash App said tuition.
Shout out to Austin.
Justice said peace to the saints tuition. Thank you for coming on, Shamika.
Mhm.
We have Timpway, you know who this is under a different
Saint Key.
account. He said, I'm 21 and live with my sister, 28 years old, and my nephew, 7 years old. How do I properly discipline my nephew when he acts up? Example, him not listening to his mother. Is this my job?
What you got for us, Shamika?
I do think it's your responsibility because you're in the home as, just that male role model. But honestly, is she willing to allow you to do that? So
Bingo.
many women won't even open the idea of taking that type of correction unless it's the way they want it. They got to rule everything, they got to control everything. Her discipline obviously is not working if you see an issue, but will she even let a different type of discipline come in? That's a truth that a lot of people won't admit. They don't even want the help that they know they need a lot of times because they're so used to being bossy and controlling that they can't even let somebody come in and operate in his nature. It's your nature. A man needs to be able to check a young boy. She's not going to be able to do it, but is she willing to allow you that space?
Said they won't accept the help that they know they need. I'm going to say that one more time. They won't accept the help that they know they need.
Okay, we have Mr. Tabbitt came in on PayPal, said peace to the saints.
Peace to the saints.
We have none of the above, said hashtag tuition. Shout out to Miss Shamika Michelle for rocking her natural hair. Always a beautiful thing to see.
Always. You only get to see it once a year.
Paul T says peace to the saints.
Shout out to Paul.
And Noor says peace to the saints.
Shout out to Noor. Look, you going in. You going in. And you know what? I'm building an organization here. I'm sure we'll become more familiar with one another as time goes by. But when you had mentioned the plants in the music industry, and I do believe there are a great many, and the Black people, the Black people around the world as a mass are quite effeminate, and they've lacked leadership. Even those we would call leaders today, your Dr. Umars, your Tariq Nasheeds, they're mostly preachers. They're not organizers, strategists, or businessmen, which is more so what we need. Not to say they haven't offered any value. My sadness is that when we look at the ideological vanguard, meaning who's creating the ideas that operate in Black people's heads today, I believe it is the liberal white woman who has created all of the ideas that you hear come out of the rapper's mouth, the female rapper's mouth. You hear come out of our school children's mouth. They go to college and they get this education and they come out talking just like a liberal white woman, thinking that they thought of that. Talk to me. What you think?
You're absolutely right. And it's been this way for a long time, going not only just back to Gloria Steinem, but even before her time, when you had the suffrage movement and these women that I have no issue with the first wave of feminism. Like I'm comfortable with women having certain rights. But then you had this whole sexual liberation that came in. And what bothers me is when Black women start to mimic the white liberal women talking points. This whole I don't have a say, or my man is, controlling, he's oppressing me. there hasn't been a time in America where the Black man
Talk
has
about
been
it.
in a position to be oppressive. So for you to act as if you're on the same level with this liberal white woman is a lie to start with, because your man has never been in that type of position of power to even be oppressive. So to get with this woman and start mimicking her talking points really irritates me. And I would go as far as to say, pissing me off. You know, I know some people don't like that word, but it
Yeah, and
does,
Shamika's a shooter, so y'all better quit playing.
these women are just telling lies. Your man hasn't even been in that position. And if we had actually stayed in our role, opposed to deciding the government was a better husband, maybe Black men would be way ahead of where they are now. But not only do they have to deal with whatever else is going out in the world, they don't even have a support system from a lot of their women, a lot of us, because we're so busy trying to be liberal white women in everything.
Ooh.
What we say, how we look. That's why you see these women walking around with somebody else's hair and got to be blonde, and they think that's the pretty way to go. You know,
Beyonce.
I mean, if it's such Black excellence, why don't you like it? If it's Black excellence, why do you want to be white? There's this lie that white women want to be us. See, we saw them, you know, getting the lip injections, and we see them getting maybe, you know, some BBLs or
Spray
whatever.
tans.
We think, oh, they want to be us. No, they don't. Y'all want to be them, because if you were so comfortable in being you, white women can't get this hair on top of my head naturally. She would have to go out and buy something. But she don't got to do that, because these women walking around here talking about, oh, they want to be white, got somebody else's hair. Stop lying. Every time you turn around, they're doing something to change your body. You got to go get, I remember growing up, we used to say, Black men are ass men. You know, they don't really care about boobs. And then I turn around,
I take them both, but go ahead.
Black women are going under the knife, putting themselves in jeopardy to get these artificial boobs. Now you got these butts that you look like ants. And I mean, what is it? There was a time when Black women understood natural was good, being Black was good enough, and now it has just changed so much. But we still keep up the lie as if, you know, Black women are the epitome of everything. Well, if you really truly feel that way, why do you keep altering yourself?
On Cash App, we have Rich Forever Way said, what? She's talking that talk. Peace to the saints.
Peace to the saints.
We have Teddy said, thank you both for this discussion.
Shout out to Teddy.
And T sent tuition.
And I want to thank all of you who support this kind of conversation, because I was just on earlier and we had 1,000 people watching live. We're talking about Brittany Renner and her foolish behavior. And it's a representation of the mindset of the Black masses, in as much as that, you know, people will tune in to watch ignorance, and they'll even financially support it. And so what happens is we incentivize the most negative, idiotic elements of our people to rise to the top and to be heard. And I really do blame the dusty Black male, which is to say, look, no one has sympathy for men in general. And I'm not here to say, oh, you know, no one's supporting you. Look, buddy, it's a cold world out here, and I ain't got no sympathy for you. I was listening to a reel on Instagram, and some guy was about to start explaining. He's like, no one wants to hear men complain. I was like, you're right. Ended the video. Like, I don't want to hear this shit. So, you know, I always, when I see a woman come in and support and she sent $10, if you're a man, you better send $10.02 and step above her every single time, because I don't want you to claim that you're a leader or claim that she needs to be subject to you or beneath you or follow your way unless you really like that. Like, you don't step in a leadership position unless you're going to be the leader. Like, I need you to be superior at everything within your role as a leader. Tell me about these dusty ass Black males. And they get me mad too, because sometimes folks confusing me for one of these. I'm like, I'm Taylor Cut. You heard me? Like, I ain't one of these boys. I'm the big homie. Tell me about these boys, Shamika.
You know, somebody told me a few years ago that feminism didn't just have an effect on Black women, it had an effect on Black men too. And I have found that I think the first line of people that give me the most pushback are Black women. The second line would I probably be maybe a tie between the liberal white woman and the Black man, because there are some Black men that have been conditioned, I guess, for so long, they don't even want to be leaders. Like, I will never understand how you can give me so much pushback in saying you were created as the head, not the tail. God put you in charge. We're supposed to, the pushback that I can get from Black men, it's almost like they're saying they don't even want to be men, or they would much kind of rather be a best friend with a penis, because women so much have just not even wanted to deal with masculine men, that not only did women really push to effeminate men, the men submitted to it. It's like they have willingly just laid down and said, control me, lead me, tell me what to do, tell me what to say, tell me what to think. And when they hear somebody saying, no, it's with you, you're the one that's supposed to know what direction we're supposed to go in, they're mad.
That's right.
Literally, they get mad at that. And so it's like you don't even believe in yourself, man, in the purpose that God created you to fulfill in this earth realm. They're mad about it. So you have these dusty men that will actually bow down or say, well, I need to meet her 50-50. You can't go 50-50 on crazy. Why would you even submit to her like that if you know she's wrong? You're supposed to be able to help us, because a lot of times as women, we can be emotionally led. But if I turn to you and you biting your nails and crying, what hope is there for me?
None. It's all bad. And speaking of dusty, effeminate Black males, there's one such person in the comments. And I personally, I like to stay away from broke people and ugly people. That's just me, though. So if you send in your $10 super chat, like it seems like they want to come in and debate, I'll let you on screen. I'll give you 30 seconds to give your best, argument that you have to give. But otherwise, sit down and shut up. Because if you ain't got $10, you got more important things to do with your life right now. But I'll give you some airtime, because I'd be curious to hear you come on and try to represent your position as a eunuch, a Black eunuch.
We have on Cash App, Ivan the Saint sent tuition.
Shout out to Ivan.
Justin Time said, ugly truth question in the chat. Justin Time, I do not see that. You can email it to support@Marquettdavon or try to repost in the chat, but I do not see it. We have Tony said, what are 3 to 5 actionable steps Black people can take to be like I'm not going to say the word.
Well, we don't need to be like them, but maybe to achieve some of the same success. All right.
I want to date Black women, but the qualities I want are typically in Middle Eastern, white, and Hispanic women.
You gotta say what the qualities are, my boy. Don't you gotta say what the qualities are? Good Lord. You could have gave us a couple. Tony, you did us dirty. But what 3 steps might you have for Brother Parker?
To be more like them.
Let's say more successful as a people.
Yeah. Again, we talked about shame needs to come back.
Yes.
We need to shame. We need to ostracize. We need to be more vocal, not afraid of being canceled, or not afraid of not getting invited to the cookout because somebody think you aren't Black enough. And speaking of that, it bothers me so much that we equate negative behavior with being Black, with being real.
Yes, we do.
My mother did not struggle the way that she did to make sure that I be a successful woman, for me to get out here and act ignorant and to act, ghetto and hood. That is not what our parents did. And so when we sit around and we only esteem Black people that's being niggerish, can I say that?
Yeah. You didn't say it, Chico. You didn't say it. Go ahead.
It's silly. I think back to Bill Clinton, how so many people were walking around saying that he was the first Black president. They literally said that because this man smoked weed, blew a
Right.
saxophone, and got his dick sucked in the Oval Office. Why do we coddle negative behavior,
Right.
and that's supposed to be the representation of Black? So we
Right.
need to raise our standards, number one, of what. So we got shame, ostracize, be vocal, raise our standards.
That one.
Raise our standards and stop thinking that because someone has Black skin, that that's a pass to be ignorant, that that's a pass to fail, that that's a pass to not succeed and do what you're supposed to do in life. I'm so sick of that. But that is what we push. That's why they're dropping these tests, in certain colleges, or they're
Right.
saying we can't give these kids zero. Why not? If
Right.
they didn't do the
Right.
work,
That's
they
what they
get
are.
zero. We grew up with some standards, and if you didn't meet them, you had to try again another time. The idea that you can train a dog, you can take a dog into PetSmart or wherever and get some training. They will teach that dog to sit, to roll over, to fetch, but Black people can't do certain things. If you can train a dog, why can't we as Black people succeed and learn and act as if we can do things that would make us functional citizens in America? Why is that? You telling me
Mm.
dogs are smarter than Black people? I don't think they
Definitely can follow
realize
directions
that
better.
they have these low expectations. That is not a good thing. They think it's a means of getting over. It's not a means of getting over, because we start to look retarded, like as if we can't do anything simply because we're Black. Raise our expectations.
Okay, we have Austin is back on Cash App, said shout out to Shamika, good game, peace to the
Peace
Saints.
to the saints.
We have Faison said, I'm a producer and want to get this music money, but the money is in the music that pushes negativity. What should I do, Saint?
Well, number one, you always want to know that from a business perspective, you don't you should never attempt to create a behavior. You look at what the market is currently doing and you respond to the market. So if the market is oriented on negativity and you don't want to push negativity, it's going to be harder for you to make a dollar unless you have some remarkable, unique talent and unique innovation that you're going to bring to the music industry, which if you're operating within the hip hop genre, I don't think that's going to be the case. All of the rappers who are positive or conscious, they don't do very well financially. Mos Def, Tribe Called Quest, and all these other guys. So that's number one. So you might want to get a new industry. Secondly, music as an industry itself, the music itself is not making as much money, which is why the companies are doing 360 deals. They need to own all form of publishing, your appearances on podcasts, your appearances in movies, and all these other things, because the music itself is a digital product that's easy to steal and disseminate, and harder to monetize. And so you just got to be real with yourself, and that's the challenge. And in business, if you're not real with yourself, you're going to lose. You're going to lose. So you don't go into a situation saying, hey, Marquette, like I want to open a strip club, but I don't want the women to be naked. Then don't open a strip club. You heard me? Like you talking about, I want to be a hip hop producer, but I don't want to say negative stuff. Well, if you're going to be a broke one. And if we're talking about business, we're talking about money. That's what's important in business. So let me be clear that we're separating that conversation from business and, uplifting Black people. You go into business, you go in there to make money. So if I went into the hip hop industry as a businessman, if they said, hey, you need to say this and say that and say that. Hey, rapper, here's your script. Here's your script, because this is about the money. Now, if you're going in for revolutionary purposes, that's a different thing. You have any questions, comments on that one, Shamika?
I believe that it depends on what your purpose is. If God has told you, I want you to create clean music, then I think God would provide. I've seen Christian rappers who are able to take care of themselves and their families. I think there's a question of why are you in it? As you were saying, if it's a business move and you're trying to make money and be rich and be on screen, iced out, that's not going to be the move for you. But if this is what God has said for you to do and put it in your heart, then he's going to provide a way for you to, feed your family. I've been young and I've been old, and I've never seen the righteous forsaken nor his seed begging bread. So God will provide. It just depends on why are you getting into it, and is it pure purposes? My daughter wants to be an actress, and she doesn't want to have to sell her body and be doing all of these lewd sex scenes and stuff like that. And I had to ask her, do you want to act or do you want to be famous? Because those are two different things.
Talk about it.
So if this is your passion, you very well may be living job to job or, movie to movie or whatever. If you're trying to actually have some standards in the roles that you would take or the roles that you would play. So it's a very serious question that you have to ask yourself and be willing to be honest with the answer and move accordingly, because so many times people will step into something thinking, oh, you're just going to do it differently. But we look at Hollywood, and Hollywood has been the same for a very long time. Either you pay to play, spread them legs to play. It is what it is. So what do you want out of this? And so she had to sit and answer these hard questions. And because she's so young, she'll probably have to come back to this answer over and over and over again, because, people start to see these material things, and you see somebody with this car or that house or this jewelry, and it may start to look good, but you got to be able to say, why am I doing this? And be comfortable with why and secure as in why you're doing this, and be willing to stick with it. I say all the time, if I was shaking my ass to the camera, I would have so many followers, but I don't believe that that's why
I would watch, but I wouldn't follow. I'm messing with you. Go ahead.
I don't believe that's why God put me here. And so every day when I feel like, oh, these people not listening, I could just give it up. I ain't got to listen to nobody calling me out of my name. I could just live off the grid. I'm right back here because I believe that's what I'm supposed to be doing. Giving people something else, giving them some type of teaching and training and direction in the way that they should go. When you have that purpose and when you feel like it's God-given and God-driven, it's easier when the money ain't just rolling in, or when you know what I'm saying, you ain't popping bottles all the time. It's all right.
Okay, on Cash App, we have Anthony says, peace to the saints.
Peace to the saints.
We have Grady. He did send an additional super chat. He said, they have they have us destroying each other. We're our own worst enemy. They're laughing at us. We're carrying out the agenda for them.
I don't even think there's a they at this point. I think it's just us. I don't think there's a bunch of white guys around like, I think it's just black folks behaving ignorantly and destroying ourselves.
We have Fit John sent tuition.
Shout out to Fit John.
We have Dan
alert.
Dan sent $100. Dan said, a contribution from an old G who came of age in the 70s and lived through the influence of feminism on our families. This conversation is much needed and overdue. Keep up this conversation.
That's real right there. Shout out to Dan.
We have Ty Worthabill said, hallelujah, righteous in the building.
You know what? I want to go back to this money piece. Oh, you're not finished? Okay, go ahead.
We have Ryan. Speaking of Dan saying this conversation, Ryan said on Cash App, why aren't Black people supporting real conversations?
Right. Woo! Talk about that part. Black people, this conversation is for you specifically. Yeah, where are you? Black men, where are you? If you're sitting and you're watching, why haven't you stood up as a man? And I really mean that. You don't have $1 seat. One thing I teach, Shamika, is I teach prosperity. I'm a big believer. And being broke is a disgusting state, especially for a male. And I will not tolerate any man pipe dreaming. I want to be a producer, a singer, a rapper, an actor. Well, you know what? Somebody's going to be an actor and be successful and make millions of dollars. If you ain't the one and you're not willing to do what it takes to make millions at it, let that be a hobby. Now let's talk about how you're going to get this money together. I don't have time for your dreams. I don't have time for like, oh, well, I know if I'm going to make money at it, I have to do it this way, and I'm not going to do it this way. Well, then shut up about that, and let's get to the real money. Because you out here being broke, and what black people like to do, they like to assign righteousness to being broke. Like it's all good. No, it's not all good. No, well, Jesus didn't have a lot of money. You're not Jesus, though. You's a nigga that live in America. You ain't. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say, but you ain't Jesus.
That's
and if
amen.
you're a grown man, you need to get this money together. And one thing I tell black folks is, look, you got such a welfare mentality that you sit up here and watch me on a channel where I don't run any ads. I don't run any ads. Every other YouTube channel runs ads, which means I'm supported by you. And I don't want to sit here on a stream talking about black issues and you don't support it, because this is, you know how they say the government is of the people, for the people, by the people. That's nonsense. They lying. That's why they, like Malcolm X said, we say the government, not our government. This is about you. But you sit there in an effeminate way and you do not stand up and support. You know, Shamika, and I'm sorry to go off, a young man that came in recently and he said, hey, Marquette, you know, we were growing up poor and we went to the church and my mom would still give money to the church. Should she have given money to the church? I said, well, did you go into church? Did you show up and were the lights on in the church? Did you walk into a church building? Somebody has to pay for that. As a businessman, I'm keenly aware that nothing exists for free. It was all created mostly by men. And are you going to be a man who's a builder or a goddamn freeloader? Because women and children can live for free. Just that pretty smile and that natural hair you got, some man to take care of you just based on that. Just based on that. And as pretty as I am, ain't nobody want to take care of me. And that's why I cannot stand black men standing around and being idle with these damn pipe dreams. I like rapping too, Shamika. Would you believe I got a goddamn rap album out? I do. I got a
Really?
rap album. Ain't that some bullshit? I got a rap album. But I know it's some bullshit, though. I don't delude myself to think that I'm going to be a rapper at my age. I do it because I enjoy it, but it's not the money play. Go ahead and respond to that rant if you would.
Yeah, no, I was just laughing because I have a song that came out in June with Bryson Gray, a Christian rapper, and it actually
I heard of him. Yeah, he's serious.
And so somebody said to me, how's your rap career, as a dig? And I was like, career? I did a song, like, because it's fun. I'm not sitting here at my big age thinking I'm getting ready to, you know, enter in Pound Town, whatever. No. That's not even realistic, but people will think, you know, this is the way everybody thinks because they have this type of ignorant, you know, train of thought that everybody has that. So I'm with you on getting on the men for this. That's why I drive by the one standing on the corner. You a man. You standing on this corner for 4-5 hours with this sign. If you can hold the sign, you can go and actually apply for a job. Do something. Cut some grass. Wash some windows. Do something. Don't come asking me for $5. I'm hungry. Me too.
Right. Right.
We have Marcus at Tuition, Peace to the Saints.
Peace to the Saints.
I'm just going to put Dan back on screen to show people what really standing up is. We have Joseph came in on Cash App with Tuition. We have Otis is back on PayPal and said, what inspired Shamika to start speaking out in the public?
And I also want to know what inspired you to kill somebody too. We got to figure out what that was about, Shamika, but answer the first one that they asked.
So I think what inspired me, I know. I was in the church. I was a former ordained minister.
You was a minister?
Yeah. And I just felt like there was this expectation to continue to sing, dance, preach, teach while my life was cracking like glass. And there was this, you know, people are so used. People say, I don't care what anybody thinks, but so many people do. And if your car is broke down on, I'm going to use local streets here, Roxborough Road, but you're sitting here lying and saying you're on Felver Street, nobody can come and help you on Roxborough Road because they're looking on Felver Street. You're lying and you're not being honest. And so what I wanted to do was for myself, free myself, stop lying. This is where I am. This may be hard. This may be difficult. and be that leader for other people to stop lying and to stop wearing the mask and just say, hey, this is where I am. This is what I need. I need help in this. I need help in that, instead of pretending. Because so many times we're not who we post to be. You know? And so I wanted people to just stop lying. So that's what encouraged me to start speaking out, just trying to get people to remove the mask. And I remember a friend of mine who's no longer with us, rest in peace, he said, it's going to be very hard for you to get people to be transparent and to be honest. And I thought it was the craziest thing that he had ever said. I was thinking, it's easy to tell the truth. Well, you know, it should be easy. I realized that, and I wish he was alive for me to say, you were right. People are so used to lying and pretending. That's why the truth is so offensive. People, they aren't used to it. So that's what encouraged me to just kind of come forth, and with the hopes, again, that people will latch on to that.
Wow. You know, back in the hood when I was a young boy, they used to have these stop snitching t-shirts. We need a stop lying t-shirt. Go ahead.
I'm going to just acknowledge these because you made the comment about people standing up when we're talking about the conversation. And these are names I don't recognize. So we have Marquettdavon and Timothy both stood up.
Respect. Absolutely.
We have Dwayne that said, peace to the saints, much deserved tuition.
Absolutely.
On Cash App, we have Caleb said, tuition, peace to the saints.
Peace to the saints.
Caleb, I did just get your hand wraps shipped out today. So anyone that purchased hand wraps or boxing gloves, they did get shipped out. We are having a special deal where they can be packaged together right now.
In a real way.
We have Joseph, different Joseph, sent tuition and said, peace to the saints.
Peace to the saints.
And Jason said tuition.
Shout out.
Carry on.
And you know what, Shamika, I'm so serious about people standing up because one, I truly believe in capitalism. I am a real capitalist. You heard me? I'm a real capitalist, a real businessman. And I also believe that, you know, if you don't respect your own and respect your own leaders, then who does? You know, when we have heads of state go to United Kingdom and they visit the Queen of England, they treat her, or the Queen of England, they treat her like she's a queen, right? Now I'm looking at her like, this is a raggedy ass, old ass white lady. Like I would think if you're divinely chosen, God wouldn't have made you ugly, but they treating his old ass bag of bones like she's somebody. And that's all based on the fact that those folks there in the United Kingdom for generations, they treat them like bosses and royalty. And when we have our leaders among us, let us treat them and pay tribute appropriately, especially for those who build.
Yes.
For those who build. And that's why I say, if you are a man, you pay what you owe and you pay on behalf of your family. And if you walk into a church, you pay to keep the lights on. If you are a man, if you've never built anything, you're missing a major experience in being a man. If you're a man and you never had a bloody nose or never gave out a bloody nose, you're missing a major experience in being a man. I don't care what anybody tell you. Yeah, peace and being civilized is fantastic. But if you ain't ever got punched in your mouth and you didn't reach the age 30, you're missing something, buddy. And that's the thing, is that we have such levels of effeminate behavior and thinking among the male. They're weak. And then ironically, in the dysfunctional female, we have excessive levels of hypermasculinity and emotional outbursts, and black woman to throw hands with you quicker than a black man will. Ain't that something?
That's so true. That's true. No argument for me on that, because you're absolutely right.
And folks, I want to respect her time. I said that we'd have her on for about an hour. So if she'd allow us just a minute or two, if you all had some burning questions to share, because as I repeat, you don't get to turn on the internet, look at your YouTube or your social media and see an actual black woman in real life, what an actual black woman looks like, the way she was created to look, and then also hear her speak with some sense and some wisdom. And so I want to yield just a little bit of time. If you all had any last questions, comments for the lady, or you wanted to give thanks, we're going to give that time. And as we wind down, I do want to remark that we have a YouTube link in the description. They can find you more on that YouTube link. Is that right?
Yes, I do a show called Fearless with Jason Whitlock. And so you can actually tune into that show 5 days a week. Wow. Or we also put out different videos or shorts or different conversations on that channel as well.
And it's called Fearless.
Fearless.
Okay. Yes, Fearless. Okay. And what are you typically talking about there?
We talk about everything: sports, culture, politics, religion. It's a real well rounded show. And that's why I said, even if you don't catch me on the show, we put out different conversations. Like we did one yesterday talking about the Brittany Renner situation on that podcast. So it's not in the show, but it's actually should have been posted to the channel today.
And what you know about boxing, just real quick before we go, what you know about boxing?
Boxing is my favorite sport, although I will say I don't know a lot of the information surrounding it, but it's always been my favorite sport. It's boxing, basketball, baseball, and then football.
A woman would have 4 favorite sports. How about that? You got 4 favorite sports. Look at you.
We have Walton on PayPal said, another meaningful conversation. I've recently gifted a jab journal to a young person.
Wow.
Thank you for creating this community and putting Saints to work, producing quality products. Shout out to Mitch. Peace to the Saints. And Mitch is on here. So
absolutely.
Shout out, Mitch.
Shout out to Mitchell. And that's what I want all of our folks to be able to learn from. You see, Mitchell is as white as you can get, right? Like on the levels of whiteness, he up there.
Mitch did say that he has never been to a cook. He said as a white person, he's never been to a cookout. He needs to step his game up.
Oh no, white folks got
I've been to
cookouts. Yeah, what kind of? Well, we got to
really?
get. All right, but I want to say that to say is there are certain characteristics, whether you're white, black, blue, purple, that are going to lead you to success. There's a certain level of curiosity, a certain level of competence, a certain level of having responsibility, and I am one who is quick to condemn certain things because we done missed out on some shame and we done missed out on some condemnation. So I'm here to bring it forward, which is to say that you got a white man who's a successful white man on a stream about black folks supporting the work. You'll have women on a stream where I'm telling men how to be greater men and the women are supporting the work. Do not allow yourself to be unaccounted for. Yes, I'm talking to you. Don't allow yourself to be unaccounted for. And that's why I always say, as a man, stand up and make your name known. One of my mentors in Baltimore, Maryland, older gentleman named Dr. Kelly, older black man. His wife was a congresswoman. Old black folks, like they was alive, during segregation and World War II. These folks is old. And he told me, he said, always put your name in the hat, which is to say, just let people know you exist. Let people know you exist.
Hey, we have Austin is back on Cash App. He said, I think it's supposed to say, what if man can't support those who support him? What if a man cannot support those who support him? Yeah.
That I don't know if there's a typo in there, but one thing we have a 3-sentence Bible, Shamika. I'm gonna bless you with this. We got a 3-sentence Quran, a 3-sentence Torah.
Okay.
Number 1, be yourself. Number 2, be good to yourself. Number 3, be good to good people. And I find that you excel in this be yourself. That's the starting point of everything. It really goes back to what you're talking about stop lying, live the truth.
Oh, he meant to say what kind of man can't support those who support him.
Right. What kind is not a man. Is not a man. If a man supports those who can't support him, your children, your woman. If they cannot support you, you still got to take care of them. To not support those who support you is a scoundrel's behavior and thinking.
Okay, we have Miss Ivy is back and said, peace to the saints. Can I say that word on
the
here?
Transformers, Decepticons act like ratchet black females. I'm going to throw that in for you, Miss Ivy. I'm going to throw that in for you. Act like ratchet black females. And I think black ghetto females, throw that in there too. And I think they're also pushing the bad behavior even more. How do we speak up to them? I'm interested to hear this answer too.
We speak up to them the same way. You might want to have a male with you though, because they're actually men, and a man would need to handle them. But this is what I tell women: we should feel some kind of way when we see black men that are trying to be women, but they have this poor behavior. So what are they seeing in us that when they think of, oh, I want to mimic a woman, it's bitch, all right, it's what are we showing them? You don't see them trying to be the classy woman or to carry themselves. It's always ratchet. It's always hood. And it's the same. Men should look at the women that are trying to imitate men. Why is her pants sagging? Why is she walking around with a a wife beater grabbing the crotch that she doesn't have. What type of message are we sending that when they think of imitating the opposite sex, it's only the negative aspects or the negative things that are pushed out there? That's a question we have to ask, because you're right. These men, the black men trying to be women, they got the hair and the nails. And let me tell you something, men, if you're ever tricked by one, turn to a black woman and blame her, because guess what? They're not trying to look like me. They're trying to look like these bitches out here that can't go outside without their face beat for the gods. I don't even know when it changed that women started getting their makeup tips from men. Men always, when they wanted to imitate women, they had to put on all this makeup and hide their 5 o'clock shadow and, contour their face to make it softer. Now women are doing the same things men were trying to do to be them. Be yourself. That's again why I say these women walking around here being the loudest, talking about black girl magic and black excellence, they don't believe it. Because if they did, they would be perfectly comfortable being who they are. When I grew up, Thelma from Good Times, people looked at her like she was
Good Times. Go ahead.
since sliced bread. This was a woman who had her afro or her natural hair. She didn't have all this augmentation to her body. She wasn't loud. You saw Thelma going to dance class and going to art and going to the African restaurant with eBay. This was even from a ghetto girl or a girl in the hood.
Right.
Now, you think of somebody that's ghetto or coming from the projects, you don't think of Thelma from Good Times. You think of Sexy Red. You think of Sukiana. I have so many friends that grew up in the projects that you wouldn't even be able to tell, because it was simply about their family not having the income to live somewhere else. It wasn't a determination of their academic success or just success in life, period. It didn't determine how they were supposed to carry themselves and act. That has all changed. And again, we ought to look at ourselves at women. Why these men who want to be women dress up and look like bad bitches? That's their idea of a woman. We should not be happy with that.
Okay, on PayPal, we have Joshua came in. This is
shout to Joshua.
Yeah. We have none of the above said, haven't watched the Charleston White Thought of Miss Prime live, but I bet it's got more views than this educational piece. Sad times.
All day. Yep.
We have David said, glad I caught this live. I live in Europe, but find these conversations very interesting, as much of what happens in the US eventually comes to Europe as well. Peace to the saints.
Indeed. Peace to the saints.
We have Kenya said, thank you for bringing her on.
And I don't think I've heard from the lady before, so that's good. Shout out to the lady saints.
We have Truth Redacted said, peace to the saints tuition.
Peace to the saints.
DMV Nation sent tuition.
Shout out.
And we have Reese Time sent tuition. On Cash App, we have James came back to back. His first one says, peace to the saints. Thank you for your time from Hotlanta. We have James again said, do you know God Almighty's grand unified theorem?
Me?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. We have Kevin. This is the Kevin that you got to meet at the very first conference.
Yeah. Oh, Silver Wedge. Yeah.
Yes. He said, peace to the saints tuition.
Peace to the saints.
We have Kasim said, I am not going to step up. I am not a dusty. Oh, I am going to step up. I am not a dusty. I have not sent tuition in a long time. I am ashamed of myself for not giving back to the assassin, for it has given me so much.
That's a beautiful message. In respect of your time, we're going to end here. And I appreciate you coming on and blessing us. I know people are going to replay this, and your words are going to echo in their minds. And there are a lot of things that I've enjoyed and are good reminders, like not to be a liar, not to lie to yourself. I have this thing called Boss University, in which I have a whole lesson about that. And that's such a core thing.